Hello paper crafters, it's Olga. Thank you so much for stopping by. Today I'll show you how I made two projects. The first one is a multi-layered Shabby Chic card, and another one is a Trifold card that can be used as a money holder or a gift card holder. To create these projects I have used the following Spellbinders dies: Swirl background, curvy labels, blooming rose, phrase set 1 and phrase set 2, A2 Metin Basics A set, and a sentiment from wine glass bottle tag set. For the first card I have created a top folding card base out of ivory cardstock. It's the standard size 4¼ by 5½ inches. Then I'm going to attach a piece of patterned paper to cover up the entire card front. The paper is by Prima and it's great for Shabby Chic projects. And here is the real star of this card. It's a die set called Swirl background. It consists of an insert and an outline, which is exactly 4¼ by 5½ inches. I'm securing both dies on a piece of ivory cardstock and then I'm sending them through the die cut machine. After everything's die cut, I'm using the brush nib of Tool-in-One to remove all the negative pieces from the die cut. Then I'm going to set the background aside and I'm going to die cut a label. I'm going to use the two largest dies from CURVY labels die set. I'm placing them onto an ivory cardstock again, and I'm going to both die cut and emboss them. This will create a shaped frame for the label. I have also created a background out of vellum using the largest die from the set. I will also need 2 additional frames to create more dimension. So now I'm attaching one of the frames onto the vellum background. I'm using a liquid glue because this frame is a bit too thin and intricate for my tape runner. Now I'm placing the label onto the background at about this height and I'm centering it really well. Then I'm making the marks with a pencil to know where I should trim it. Then I'm placing a label into the paper trimmer, aligning the pencil marks with a blade and cutting it down. For the sentiment I have chosen a Happy Birthday stamp from a wine glass bottle tag. I'm only going to stamp the word happy, so I'm masking off the birthday word with the pieces of washi tape. I'm positioning the stamp onto the project, then I'm closing the door, and then I'm inking up the stamp really well with the Versamark ink. I'm removing the mask, stamping down the word happy, and then I'm going to gold emboss it. Now I'm going to attach 2 more frame layers, and I'm going to place the embossed one on top. Layering die cuts is one of my favorite techniques. It really allows you to add a lot of dimension, and it also makes the cards nice and interesting to touch, not only to look at. It is also quite simple, although a bit time-consuming. So now I'm trimming off the extra cardstock with the scissors, and then I'm going to attach the rest of the sentiment. I have die cut the birthday word from the same patterned paper that I used for the background. I'm sticking it down onto the label below the embossed happy word. Then I'm applying some glue to the bottom lines of the swirl background as well as behind the frame. And I'm sticking the label down, aligning the bottom of the label with the bottom of the background. Although the label is quite large, it's semi-transparent and you can still see that swirl pattern underneath it. To create the frame for the card, I'm going to use the outline die from Swirl background set, as well as the second largest die from Matte Basics A set. Again, I'm securing the dies with the pieces of washi tape, and then I'm sending them through the machine. I'm attaching the frame with the mounting tape on top of the background. I'm also going to attach a half pearl at the end of each swirl of the background pattern. Jewel picker is really convenient for precision placement of the embellishments. The one I'm using is called Crystal Katana. I would also like to add a large flower as an embellishment, and I'm going to create one myself using dies. The die set is called Blooming Rose, and it cuts out 5 sizes of flowers as well as the bunch of leaves. I'm coloring the edges of all the flowers with Tattered Rose Distress ink, and for the leaves I'm using Frayed Burlap Distress ink. Let me demonstrate a flower shaping technique that I used for this project. I'm starting with the largest flower, I'm flipping it over and start creating a cup shape with the flower shaping tool. Then I'm flipping it back again and pressing it in the middle. This is how I created the 3 largest flowers. The smallest one is going to be different. I have also flipped it over and I'm creating a cup shape, but I'm not going to turn it back again. Instead, I'm forming a bud. I'm using the same technique for the last remaining flower. It's also going to be a bud, just a bit larger one. Now I'm going to start assembling my flower. I'm starting with the smallest bud and I am applying some liquid glue inside the petals, and then I'm holding them down until the glue sticks. Then I'm moving on to the next size flower. I'm also applying the glue inside the petals as well as in the middle. Then I'm going to place the smallest bud inside and I'm going to close up the bigger bud, like that. Then I'm switching to the hot glue just because it dries quicker, and I'm going to layer all the remaining flowers one on top of another. I'm offsetting the petals each time I am attaching the new layer. And that is what the finished flower looks like. I'm going to attach it on top of the card, again using the hot glue. I'm also going to add some leaves. I'm applying some glue onto the larger leaves and tucking them behind the rose. As for the smaller leaves, I'm going to add them at the bottom of the card. I'm trimming them down slightly and I'm tucking them behind the frame. When I'm finished with the leaves, I'm attaching this ornate frame on top of my card base with the foam squares. That finishes the first card, and now I'd like to show you how I made the second one. That one will be much quicker and simpler, although just as beautiful as the previous one. I'm starting with a card base slightly larger than the standard one. You can see the measurements in the screen. I'm centering the swirl background die on top of the card base. This time I'm only using the insert without the outline. This is how it looks like when die cut. I have made a label using the same 2 largest CURVY label dies. I have attached the frame and the die cut sentiment onto the vellum background, and now I'm scoring a line at about 3-inch mark. Then I'm folding the label along that scored line. I'm applying tape adhesive only to that little flap. Then I'm going to fold the label over the edge of the card. I'm pressing it down, and this way the label will be attached to the back side of the card. Now I'm going to stick down a piece of patterned paper on the inside of the card. This piece of paper measures exactly 4¼ by 5½ inches. I have created one more label with the largest die from the set and trimmed it down just like the vellum one. I'm applying 2 strips of adhesive at the sides of the label and I'm sticking it on the inside of the card, aligning it with the bottom. This way I have created a pocket that you can slip a note into, or you can place a gift card inside, or even some money. Can you see that little hole in the swirl pattern? I'm going to use it to set up a large brad. I'm also going to set up another brad at the top of the label. This way I'm going to create a closure for my trifold card or a money holder. Then I'm taking a piece of twine and I'm tucking it behind one of the brads, and I'm tying a knot that is going to be completely hidden behind the brad. Then I'm wrapping one end of the twine around another brad and I'm tying a bow. That finishes the second project for today. Thank you so much for joining me today. I really hope you enjoyed the tutorial. Have a wonderful day, and if you have any questions, please feel free to ask them in the comments below.